Welcome back. Well, we need to talk a little bit now with my experts about what happened yesterday. There was a press conference that took place where the ANC Women's League took to the podium. They sat down and they looked very disappointed. And they were speaking about women and how it appears the ANC is going backwards. They had obviously put all their money and efforts behind the fact that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma would be the very first president of the ANC. That did not work out. And they were highly disappointed and basically saying this is a huge setback for for women in South Africa. So let's just get a comment from our analysts here, who are luckily both men. So I'm in good hands here to find out exactly what it is, because us women can be a little bit biased about ourselves. What did you make of ANC Women's League President Batibile Dlamini? She obviously was sitting there and speaking, reading this press statement. She looked very upset. But talk to me about the content of what she was saying.
You know, there was a lot of anger in the air, in that room when she was speaking. And the language was almost excessive. The tone of the statement was war in some ways. I mean, this is an attack, they called it. On women, and patriarchy is rearing its ugly head. Women were used as ladders for the men to climb once again. So it was very extreme language and a lot of anger. The question is whether that anger is well placed or misplaced, because you know, if you are going to drive unity, to go back to our earlier point, if you are going to drive unity above everything else, then unity is so important that gender representativity takes a back seat. And of course, the question is whether the Women's League had a women's strategy or they simply had an NDZ strategy. And they put all their eggs in that one basket and did not want any other woman really to imagine any of the positions. They didn't really do much for the other women. And is that really a feminist strategy?
No. Well, that's what was getting me, because after the conference, it was only speaking about Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, NDZ, 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 and then went on to say that if it wasn't two women running for the position of Deputy SG, then there wouldn't be one. So by default, a woman actually came through. But they never, ever mentioned any other woman that was running at any other time. Lindiwe Sisulu was there, running as the deputy president for that position. They never spoke about her. Baleka Mbete. They never spoke about her. They never put their weight behind the other women candidates. So are they really in favor of women? And you have to ask that question. What do you think?
Yeah, the gender politics of the ANC Women's League leave much to be desired. I agree they didn't have they didn't have their own battle plan. I think what happened is that they got co-opted into a Premier League strategy because this has been happening for over 2 years. So while I agree that there was no sense of taking responsibility and ownership of where they are, I do think that the feminist critique of, for example, international relations as a space of war and all of those things applies to ANC campaign processes. This process is so men emerge by design, because this process is highly aggressive, highly requiring colluding from top all the way to branch levels. I'm not saying that women don't have that potential, but the feminist critique of politics centers around this idea that a male-dominated political system tends to be conflictual. So they probably couldn't have a strategy that was entirely gender focused without playing into the conflictual nature, as well as the need to actually engage men in the entire branch network of the ANC, which is what Lindiwe Sisulu did, by the way. There was a little bit of aggression in her campaign.
Yes.
We've seen at its apex when she said, I won't be deputy president till I won't be Ramaphosa's deputy president. He will be my deputy president. So she had that, slight aggression to her campaign,
which was quite interesting. And she did run a very strong and interesting campaign. I'm not sure anybody ran a campaign like she did, and unfortunately it failed. But one of the interesting questions I think one of the journalists asked, and I'm not sure if Batibile Dlamini gave an answer to the question, was, okay, if you are so in favor of women, when it came to that deputy president position, did you vote for Didi Mabuza or did you vote for Lindiwe Sisulu? And I'm not sure if she answered it. Do you?
Well, I suppose it's a secret ballot.
Yeah, I suppose so. But if you are that in favor of women, because I promise you, had we asked her, did you vote for NDZ or did you vote for Ramaphosa, she would have said NDZ, and she was very open about that. Yeah. But it's another woman, and if you are in favor of women, be in favor of women.
I mean, I felt a little sad for her also in part, because it is true that this is a highly male-dominated top six. There is no running away from it. But the truth of the matter is also that the ANC has become a patriarchal organization, and the violence that goes on inside of the party and in quarters of government. I mean, we've had ministers and heads of youth leagues accused of violence against women. We have had Kwezi. We have had many other opportunities for the Women's League to deal with the problem at root and try to change the culture of the ANC. And I think they have missed many of those opportunities before. And Didi Mabuza and Ace Magashule has simply outfoxed them.
Yeah.
They've really outfoxed them. And in my view, Didi Mabuza is the real winner in this conference. He outfoxed everyone. The language of unity, the Unity Project, is his, basically. And they were crying because they didn't see it coming.
Let's leave it there for now. We'll chat to you in the next hour as well. Let's get the news at the top of the hour. It is 7 o'clock on the final day of the ANC elective conference.